You spent years building a career. A machine spent a weekend replacing it. Here are 44 jobs AI is erasing right now, starting with yours. 1. You've been told your entire life that data entry is honest, stable, recession proof work. Companies will always need someone to type numbers into boxes, right? Wrong. The machine doesn't type at all, it just knows. Optical character recognition technology has existed since the 1970s, and modern AI-enhanced OCR now achieves 99% accuracy on structured documents without a single human finger touching a keyboard. Robotic process automation tools like UiPath and Automation Anywhere already process millions of records daily with zero human input, running around the clock without bathroom breaks, lunch hours, or carpal tunnel flare-ups. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics projected a 19% decline in data entry keyer positions between 2022 and 2032, one of the steepest drops of any occupation on the entire list. A single RPA bot processes the equivalent workload of 3 to 5 full-time human clerks simultaneously, not sequentially, simultaneously, and JP Morgan Chase's COIN system, which handles legal document processing, replaced approximately 360,000 hours of annual human labor in one deployment. One system, one rollout, 360,000 hours gone. You were never the point of the process. You were the workaround the process used before the real system existed. The boxes still need filling. The machine fills them faster, cheaper, and without once complaining about the office temperature. The job didn't disappear because it wasn't valuable. It disappeared because it was never complicated enough to protect. 2. You still believe that cold calling is a human art, that sales requires charm, warmth, the ability to read someone's hesitation and pivot in real time. You think a machine will never replicate that particular magic. Here is what is actually happening while you believe that. AI calling systems are conducting millions of outbound sales calls per day with real-time conversational responses, and most of the people on the receiving end have no idea they are talking to software. Google's Duplex AI demonstrated live appointment booking back in 2018, and the person on the other end of the phone had a completely normal conversation with a machine without detecting anything unusual. That was years ago. The technology has not stood still. Platforms like Bland AI, Synthflow, and Retail AI are deployed commercially right now, handling objections, following scripts, and adjusting tone based on conversational cues. The global call center market is worth more than $400 billion, and industry analysts project AI will handle up to 80% of routine call volume by 2027. Here is the part that should genuinely unsettle you. AI callers do not experience rejection fatigue. They do not have bad days. They do not quit after being screamed at by the 47th angry person in a row. Those 3 human failure points were the entire reason turnover in telemarketing was catastrophically high. The machine calling you at dinner does not feel awkward about it. It does not feel anything. That is precisely the competitive advantage. 3. The travel agent industry already collapsed once when the internet arrived in the 1990s, and somehow a portion of the profession survived. That survival was admirable. It was also temporary. Expedia launched in 1996 and began dismantling the information monopoly that travel agents relied on. U.S. Travel agent employment peaked at approximately 124,000 in the year 2000 and had fallen to roughly 46,000 by 2022, a 63% decline that happened before AI became a mainstream tool. Now, AI is finishing what the internet started. Google Flights predicts fare changes. Hopper tells you exactly when to buy your ticket. Kayak's AI assistant builds itineraries from conversational prompts. Newer platforms like Layla and Mindtrip construct complete multi-city travel plans, hotel selections, and activity schedules from a single sentence of input in seconds. The traditional travel agent's core value proposition was access to insider pricing and destination knowledge that average people could not get on their own. The internet made pricing transparent. AI made expertise accessible. Luxury travel agencies survived the internet era by pivoting to ultra-high net worth clients who wanted white glove service and genuine human relationships. AI is now targeting that demographic too. The one job that survived the internet just meant something faster than the internet. The lesson the industry refused to learn in 1996 is getting taught again, this time with considerably less patience for slow learners. 4. Catching typos, grammatical errors, and stylistic inconsistencies feels like nuanced human work. It requires a trained eye, a deep understanding of language rhythm, and the judgment to know when a rule should be broken for effect. And you are currently being outperformed by software that ships free inside every word processor on the planet. Grammarly, which uses AI, reports 30 million daily active users. It catches grammatical errors, tonal inconsistencies, clarity problems, and style violations simultaneously across every document, every time. GPT-4 level language models score in the 90th percentile or above on standardized English grammar and usage tests designed for humans. Professional proofreaders typically charge $30 to $50 per hour. AI proofreading costs fractions of a cent per document and does not miss anything on page 47 because it was distracted. Publishing houses, law firms, and marketing agencies are actively replacing human proofreading teams with AI-assisted workflows because the economics are not a close call. Academic research confirms that AI proofreading tools now match or exceed human proofreaders on error detection in standardized blind evaluations. The job was checking other people's work for mistakes. The machine checks it faster, flags more categories of error, and does not develop the professional resentment that comes from spending a career fixing someone else's sloppy writing. The irony is complete. The one job built entirely on catching errors is being replaced by something that makes fewer of them. You spent years developing a skill the machine absorbed on a Tuesday afternoon and never thought about again. 5. The legal profession has spent decades telling itself it is too complex, too nuanced, and too high stakes for any machine to meaningfully touch. Lawyers need humans who understand context, strategy, and the messy unpredictability of human conflict. That argument is correct for courtroom advocacy. It is spectacularly wrong for the job that most paralegals actually do. Paralegals primarily handle document review, legal research, and contract drafting. Those three tasks are exactly what AI does in minutes. JP Morgan's Coin software reviewed 12,000 commercial loan agreements in seconds. Work that previously consumed 360,000 hours of paralegal and attorney time annually. Luminance, Harvey AI, and CoCounsel are AI legal platforms already deployed in major law firms globally, not in pilot programs. In production, the average U.S. paralegal earns $59,000 per year. AI legal research subscriptions cost law firms a fraction of that per year, per attorney, for capabilities that exceed what any individual paralegal can deliver on speed and coverage. A 2023 Stanford study found GPT-4 passed the Uniform Bar exam, scoring in the 90th percentile. The same test human lawyers must pass. Kira Systems AI reviews and extracts data from contracts at a rate several hundred times faster than a human paralegal with comparable accuracy. You learned to speak the language of law. The machine read every case ever decided, every statute ever written, and every contract ever filed, and it did all of it in an afternoon. The language was never the barrier. 6. Every few years, someone publishes an article explaining that the ATM did not kill the bank teller job. Therefore, automation fears are overblown. This argument is about to become a very expensive historical footnote. The ATM arrived in 1969. Teller employment held on because people still visited branches for complex transactions and because trust in machines for financial matters took decades to build. That trust has been built. U.S. bank teller employment dropped from approximately 600,000 in 2000 to under 430,000 by 2022, a steady decline driven entirely by digital banking adoption before AI became a primary driver. Mobile banking app usage surpassed in-branch visits for the first time in 2010. Today, 73% of U.S. adults prefer digital banking for routine transactions. AI chatbots now handle balance inquiries, fraud alerts, loan pre-qualification, and account disputes, which are the four most common reasons people historically walked into a branch. Bank of America's AI assistant Erica surpassed 1.5 billion client interactions as of 2023. JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, and Goldman Sachs have all publicly committed to AI-first service models. The argument was always that people kept coming in. They stopped coming in. The teller survived the ATM because the branch survived. The branch is not surviving this. The job held on for 50 years through sheer force of human habit. Habits changed. The job did not have a backup plan. 7. Markets are chaos. They move on rumor, panic, and irrational human emotion. No machine can replicate the instinct of an experienced trader who has lived through multiple crashes and knows in their gut when something is wrong. Here is the actual situation on the floor of any major exchange right now. 60 to 75% of all U.S. stock market volume is executed by algorithmic trading systems. The machine did not come to compete with human traders. It arrived, took the majority of the market, and left the humans to argue about whether it was real. High-frequency trading algorithms execute orders in microseconds, which is millions of times faster than any human reaction time allows. In 2000, the NYSE trading floor employed approximately 5,500 traders. By 2020, that number had fallen to under 500, almost entirely because of algorithmic systems that made human execution economically pointless. Renaissance Technologies Medallion Fund, run almost entirely by quantitative algorithms, produced annualized returns of approximately 66% from 1988 to 2018, outperforming virtually every human-managed fund in existence over that period. AI systems now process earnings reports, breaking news, and macroeconomic data simultaneously in real time. No human analyst team matches that. The yelling men in the brightly colored jackets were already becoming a museum exhibit. They just did not know it yet. AI turned off the lights. The gut instinct never had a chance against microsecond execution and 30 years of machine learning on market data. 8. Reading medical images requires years of specialized training, clinical intuition built across thousands of cases, and a practiced human eye that can distinguish a meaningful shadow from noise on a scan. And in several specific diagnostic categories, AI is now more accurate than board-certified radiologists. A 2019 Google Health study published in Nature showed AI outperformed 6 radiologists in detecting breast cancer in mammograms, reducing false positives by 5.7% and false negatives by 9.4%. Stanford's ChecksNet AI detected pneumonia from chest x-rays more accurately than radiologists in a 2017 peer-reviewed study. The average radiologist reads 70 to 100 scans per day. AI systems process thousands of images per hour without fatigue-related error degradation. At hour 6 of a radiologist's shift, their error rate is measurably higher than at hour 1. The machine does not have an hour 6 problem. Over 500 FDA-cleared AI diagnostic tools were approved as of 2023 and are already deployed in hospitals across the US, Europe, and Asia. McKinsey estimates up to 90% of radiology tasks involve pattern recognition and classification, which is exactly the category where deep learning AI consistently outperforms humans on standardized benchmarks. You spent a decade learning to see what was not supposed to be there. The machine sees everything at once, across every scan, at every hour of every day, without the performance degradation that makes the last 2 hours of a human shift the most dangerous 2 hours of a patient's life. 9. Customer service is about empathy. People want to feel heard when they are frustrated. They want a real human being who understands what it feels like to be on hold for 40 minutes and then transferred to the wrong department. The industry does not care about your empathy. It cares about resolution time and cost per ticket. And AI wins both of those categories without a single apology for the inconvenience. Gartner predicts that by 2027, chatbots will become the primary customer service channel for roughly 25% of organizations globally. AI platforms from Intercom, Zendesk, and Salesforce already resolve 40 to 80% of Tier 1 support queries without any human escalation. The average human customer service representative costs $35,000 to $50,000 per year, including benefits. AI platforms handling equivalent volume cost a fraction of that at scale and do not require health insurance. AI sentiment analysis tools now detect customer frustration in real time and adjust conversational tone accordingly. That was the one skill supposed to require genuine human judgment. Klarna reported in 2024 that its AI assistant handled the equivalent workload of 700 full-time customer service agents in its first month of deployment. 1 month. 700 positions worth of labor. Gone. The company was never paying for your empathy. They were paying for your willingness to absorb hostility from strangers all day long without quitting. The machine has infinite patience for hostile strangers. You had a limit. That limit was the entire business case for replacing you. 10. Investigative journalism is irreplaceable. Finding the hidden story, cultivating sources, asking the uncomfortable question in the room that absolutely requires a human with curiosity and courage. But that is not what most journalism jobs actually are. Most journalism is routine reporting, earnings summaries, sports scores, weather, real estate data, municipal meeting minutes, quarterly results. That category is already gone. The Associated Press has used AI to generate corporate earnings reports since 2014, producing 3,700 articles per quarter, up from 300 human-written ones. The Washington Post's Heliograph AI published over 850 articles in its first year, covering election results and high school sports scores across dozens of markets simultaneously. Reuters, Bloomberg, and the Financial Times all use AI to generate first-draft financial and economic reporting. In 2023, CNET quietly published 77 AI-written articles before public attention revealed it. The articles were largely accurate. Newsroom employment in the U.S. fell by 57% between 2008 and 2020. AI-generated content is accelerating that decline, not reversing it. The stories AI cannot write are the ones that require courage, access, and years of source cultivation. The industry stopped funding those stories first. The investigative reporter's job is theoretically safe. The investigative reporter's employer, however, is systematically eliminating every other position that paid the bills. The stories worth telling have never been more important. The business model that used to fund them has never been more broken. 11. Language is deeply cultural. Nuance, idiom, metaphor, the specific weight a word carries in one context versus another. These are the things that make translation genuinely human work, requiring someone who has truly lived inside two worlds simultaneously. For literary translation, that argument has merit. For 95% of translation demand, the machine is already accurate enough to replace human translators commercially, and that threshold was crossed years ago. DeepL, Google Translate, and Microsoft Translator now achieve near human parity on major language pairs according to multiple independent academic benchmarks. The global translation market was worth $49.6 billion in 2021. Analysts project AI will absorb the majority of volume-based translation work within the decade. The European Commission, historically one of the world's largest employers of translators, integrated machine translation into core workflows as far back as 2010. GPT-4 level models score comparably to professional human translators on standardized evaluation metrics for most major language pairs. Lionbridge and TransPerfect, two of the largest translation companies on Earth, have both publicly shifted their business model toward AI-assisted human post-editing, dramatically reducing the headcount required to service equivalent volume. Learning 5 languages to work as a translator was a genuinely extraordinary accomplishment. It was also economically equivalent to purchasing a printing press the week before email was invented. Impressive as a feat of human capability, irrelevant as a market position. The nuance argument is real. The nuance market is a fraction of the total market, the fraction the machine already owns. 12. Numbers are serious. Tax law is complex. Financial accuracy is too critical, too consequential, too technically demanding to hand over to software. Bookkeeping, payroll processing, and basic tax preparation are not complicated. They are repetitive. Repetitive is the precise category of work AI has been consuming since before most current bookkeepers entered the workforce. QuickBooks, Xero, and FreshBooks already use AI to automatically categorize transactions, reconcile accounts, and flag anomalies without human review for routine operations. HR Block and TurboTax use AI-driven interfaces that replace the need for a junior human preparer for the vast majority of individual returns filed each year. The BLS projects a 5% decline in bookkeeping, accounting, and auditing clerk positions between 2022 and 2032, one of the rare negative projections for a white-collar profession. Intuit's AI systems now handle millions of tax returns with minimal human review, and the company simultaneously reduced certain categories of human staff as those systems were deployed. PwC, Deloitte, and KPMG have all implemented AI automation across audit and bookkeeping functions, with publicly stated goals of reducing manual processing hours significantly. The machines cannot do the creative accounting. The machines can, however, do everything that happens before you need creativity. And everything that happens before you need creativity represents the majority of hours billed by the majority of people in the profession. The sophisticated work is safe. The volume work, which is most of the work, is not. 13. Assessing risk is described as an art form. Experienced underwriters speak about intuition, built over decades, the ability to read a file and sense something that the model cannot quantify. Underwriting is statistical analysis dressed in a blazer. It always was. The intuition was always a proxy for pattern recognition across a long career of case files. AI performs pattern recognition across millions of case files simultaneously before you have finished reading the first one. Lemonade Insurance, operating primarily on AI underwriting, can issue a homeowner's policy in 90 seconds, a process that requires human underwriters hours to days for an equivalent file. The BLS projects a 4% decline in insurance underwriter employment through 2032, explicitly attributing it to automation. AI underwriting platforms process thousands of risk variables simultaneously, including credit scores, geographic data, behavioral patterns, and live signals from smart home IoT devices, inputs that traditional human underwriting never incorporated because processing them manually was not feasible. Traditional actuarial approaches rely on historical tables and structured judgment. AI systems trained on millions of claims consistently outperform actuarial predictions on pricing accuracy in controlled comparisons. Major insurers including Allstate, Progressive, and Zurich have all publicly committed to AI underwriting as core business strategy, not experimental initiative. You spent 20 years learning to price risk. The machine spent 20 milliseconds reading 50 million claims files and arrived at a more accurate number than you did. Same result. Profoundly different cost structure. The Blazer was always optional. 14. Understanding consumer behavior requires genuine human insight. Cultural awareness. The ability to read between the lines of what people say versus what they actually mean and want. Modern market research is primarily survey data, social media sentiment analysis, and consumer pattern modeling. All three of those are AI's home territory, and AI operates at a scale no human team can approach. Brandwatch, Sprinkler, and Synthesio process billions of social media posts for consumer sentiment in real time, not a sample, the full volume. Survey platforms like SurveyMonkey and Qualtrics have integrated AI to analyze open-ended responses, identify themes, and generate insight reports automatically, removing the human coding and analysis step that once justified entire research teams. Nielsen and Kantar, the two largest traditional market research firms on the planet, have both made AI integration central to their strategic plans. GPT-4 class models generate consumer persona development, competitive landscape analysis, and trend summaries from raw data inputs in minutes. Fortune 500 companies are increasingly using AI-powered listening platforms that deliver continuous consumer insight without periodic human-designed research projects. The BLS project's modest growth for market research analysts overall, but that growth is concentrated in AI tool management and interpretation, not in traditional analysis execution. You built a career on knowing how to ask the right questions. The machine asks all of them simultaneously, processes every response instantly, and does not need a research budget to do it. The insight still has value. The manual process of arriving at it does not. 15. Scheduling is a simple job that nevertheless requires a real human to manage the chaos of conflicting priorities, difficult personalities, and last-minute changes. It is a calendar problem, and AI has been solving calendar problems since before most schedulers graduated from high school. Tools like Calendly AI, Motion, and Reclaim.ai handle meeting booking, rescheduling, conflict resolution, and follow-up communications without human involvement in any step of the process. Google Workspace AI and Microsoft Copilot include scheduling assistants embedded directly into the tools most professionals already use every day, making the standalone scheduler a redundant layer. Virtual receptionist AI platforms handle incoming calls, routing, and appointment booking for small businesses at roughly $300 per month, a fraction of the cost of a single part-time human employee in the same role. The front desk receptionist position, historically a reliable entry-level gateway into professional environments, has already been largely automated in healthcare, legal, and professional services sectors. Medical scheduling AI platforms like Clara and Luma Health send automated reminders, handle cancellations, refill open appointment slots, and reduce no-show rates without a human coordinator initiating any action. The job was managing someone else's time. AI manages it better, never double books itself, never forgets to send the confirmation, and never needs to step away from the desk for 10 minutes at the exact moment someone walks in. The value was availability and accuracy. The machine is more available and more accurate. There is nothing left to negotiate. 16. Copy editing is sophisticated craft. Voice, rhythm, pacing, structural clarity, knowing when the passive construction is doing intentional work and when it is just lazy writing. This is not just fixing commas. For literary editing, for long-form journalism, for complex narrative work, that argument holds. For commercial copy, which is advertisements, product descriptions, website pages, marketing emails, and the overwhelming volume of content the industry actually produces, AI is generating publication-ready drafts that require minimal human intervention. Jasper AI, Copy.ai, and Writer.com are producing commercially deployed marketing content for Fortune 500 brands right now with minimal editing involvement from human copy editors. Adobe, HubSpot, Salesforce, and Canva have all integrated AI copywriting tools directly into their core products, bypassing the need for external specialists entirely. Large language models achieve reading level, tone, and clarity scores on standardized rubrics that are comparable to professional copywriters across most commercial content categories. The content marketing industry generates over $400 billion annually. Even a 30% shift to AI-assisted production represents enormous displacement. A 2023 study by economists at MIT and Stanford found that AI improved writing quality for lower-skilled writers by 40%, compressing the skill gap between professionals and amateurs to the point where the professional premium becomes difficult to justify. You spent years developing a voice. The machine has thousands of them and switches between them on demand. Yours was never unique enough to justify the invoice at scale. 17, design is emotional. It is creative. It requires human aesthetic sensibility, cultural intuition, and an understanding of visual communication that cannot be reduced to a prompt. Most graphic design work is not fine art. It is resizing banners, formatting social posts, generating logo variants, adapting templates for different markets, and producing the 47th version of a creative concept in the right dimensions for a new platform. AI does all of that faster than you open your design software. Adobe Firefly, Canva's AI features, and Midjourney generate brand-consistent visual content in seconds from text prompts. Canva reported that its AI design tools were used to produce over 3 billion designs in 2023, the majority by people with zero formal design training. DALL-E, Stable Diffusion, and Midjourney have produced campaign-quality imagery that brands including Heinz, Coca-Cola, and Nike have used in real commercial campaigns. 99 Designs and Fiverr have both reported significant pricing compression in their designer marketplaces as AI-assisted delivery has become standard. Routine production design, which accounts for the majority of working hours in the design industry, is now almost entirely automatable with currently available tools. The creative director still has a job. The person who spent 8 hours turning the creative director's concept sketch into correctly sized files for 47 different digital platforms does not. That person was not doing the creative work. They were doing the labor adjacent to it. The adjacent labor has been reassigned. 18 pharmacists are healthcare professionals with advanced clinical degrees. They counsel patients, review prescriptions for dangerous interactions, and serve as a critical safety layer in the medication dispensing process. Dispensing medications at a retail counter is robotic work. Literally. The robots are physically there. UCSF Medical Center's automated pharmacy robot has dispensed over 350,000 doses with 0 dispensing errors, a record no human pharmacy team has matched at equivalent volume. ScriptPro, Omnicell, and Swisslog robotic dispensing systems are deployed in thousands of hospitals and retail pharmacy chains globally. CVS and Walgreens have both invested in automated dispensing technology and are actively restructuring pharmacist roles away from dispensing and toward clinical consultation services, because the dispensing portion of the job is already being handled by machines at superior accuracy. The BLS projects pharmacist employment to remain flat or slightly decline through 2032, with automation handling the volume growth that would previously have required additional human hires. AI clinical decision support systems now flag drug interactions and contraindications automatically within electronic health record platforms, reducing the pharmacist's traditional role as the last safety check in routine prescription processing. The 6-year PharmD degree was for the clinical judgment. The counting, verifying, and labeling was always the part that a precisely engineered machine could do more reliably than tired human hands at the end of a 10-hour shift. The machine did not take the pharmacist's job. It took the part of the job that was never a good use of the degree. 19. Buying a home is the largest financial decision most people will ever make. You need a trusted human professional, guiding you through negotiations, navigating inspection contingencies, and advocating for your interests against a seller who has their own agent doing the same. AI platforms now perform property search, neighborhood comparison, mortgage pre-qualification, and offer pricing analysis, which are the 4 core tasks buyer's agents bill for before you ever speak to a human. Zillow's Zestimate AI model estimates property values in real time for over 100 million homes using machine learning on historical sales, tax records, and market trends. Redfin has been reducing agent commission structures by integrating AI into buyer matching and transaction support since 2016. The National Association of Realtors faced a landmark commission lawsuit settlement in 2024 that eliminated mandatory buyer's agent fees, dismantling the financial structure that kept the role economically viable. Opendoor and OfferPad use AI to make instant purchase offers and facilitate transactions with minimal human agent involvement. First-time homebuyer research shows that 97% of buyers begin their search online with zero agent involvement, with AI-assisted platforms handling the entire discovery phase before a human is ever contacted. The 3% commission survived for decades because real estate information was genuinely scarce and controlled. Information is no longer scarce. It is not controlled. The commission structure did not survive that realization. The profession is still processing the implications. 20. Supply chain management is impossibly complex. Too many variables. Too many interdependencies. Too many things that can go wrong in ways that no model could anticipate. Too many variables is exactly the problem AI was engineered to solve. The more complex the logistics, the larger the AI advantage over human coordinators. UPS's Orion system optimizes delivery routes for 55,000 drivers daily, saving approximately 100 million miles and $300 to $400 million annually. One system, deployed at scale. Amazon's AI logistics platform manages a supply chain of 350 million products with dynamic routing, predictive restocking, and automated dispatch with minimal human coordination at the operational level. Flexport and Project 44 use AI to track shipments, predict delays, reroute freight, and communicate with carriers automatically, functions that previously required teams of human dispatchers working in shifts. The global freight brokerage industry, worth $47 billion in the US alone, is being disrupted by AI-powered platforms that match loads to carriers without human brokers initiating the transaction. DHL, FedEx, and Maersk have all deployed machine learning systems to predict supply chain disruptions and automatically reroute shipments with zero human dispatcher involvement in routine operations. The job was mastering complexity at a scale that humans could barely manage. AI does not merely manage that complexity. It finds optimization pathways inside it that no human team would have the processing capacity to identify. You were the workaround the supply chain used before the real system existed. 21. Medical transcription requires specialized vocabulary, deep clinical context, and the ability to accurately parse muffled recordings made in noisy environments by physicians speaking quickly while managing patients. Speech-to-text AI has now surpassed human transcriptionists in speed, and in controlled evaluations, it matches or exceeds accuracy for clinical terminology across most recording conditions. Nuance Communications, now owned by Microsoft, deploys its Dragon Medical One platform in over 10,000 healthcare facilities, transcribing physician notes in real time with 99% accuracy. The BLS projected a 7% decline in medical transcriptionist employment between 2022 and 2032, driven directly by voice recognition AI improvements that were already measurable at the time the projection was published. Google's MedPalm and similar medically trained AI models are built specifically on clinical vocabulary, enabling accurate transcription of highly specialized terminology across dozens of medical specialties. AI ambient listening tools like Suki and Abridge now automatically generate complete clinical notes during patient visits without the physician dictating anything afterward. The recording, the transcription, and the formatted note all happen simultaneously. The average medical transcriptionist earns approximately $35,000 per year. AI transcription at equivalent accuracy costs healthcare systems a fraction of that figure per provider per year, with no benefits overhead. The job was translating what a doctor said into properly formatted text. The doctor says it once. The machine does the rest. The middle step was always the most replaceable part of a clinical documentation workflow that nobody ever wanted to slow down. 22. Retouching is an artistic skill. Understanding light, color, human form, skin texture, and the subtle judgment required to make an image look effortlessly natural rather than processed and artificial. That is genuinely sophisticated visual work. Most commercial photo retouching is background removal, skin smoothing, color grading, object removal, and producing 30 variations of the same edited image for different platforms and formats. AI does all of that in one click, and the click happens before you have opened your editing software. Adobe Photoshop's generative fill can remove objects, extend backgrounds, and retouch images from plain text prompts, replacing hours of manual editing work that once justified freelance retouching rates. Luminar Neo and Topaz Photo AI offer one-click retouching for skin, noise reduction, sharpening, and color grading that previously required expert-level software fluency. Shutterstock, Getty Images, and Adobe Stock have integrated AI image generation directly into their platforms, simultaneously reducing demand for photographers and retouchers. Real estate photography AI platforms like Box Brownie automatically edit listing photos, remove clutter, enhance lighting, and add virtual staging at a price point that eliminates human retouching from the real estate photography workflow entirely. E-commerce brands using AI retouching report 70 to 90% reductions in per image editing costs, translating directly into reduced freelance and in-house retoucher headcount. It took you 3 hours to make that product photo look effortless. The machine takes 3 seconds. The client will not pay for the extra 2 hours, 57 minutes. They did not know those minutes existed. 23. Designing surveys, fielding responses, and interpreting qualitative data requires a nuanced human understanding of how people communicate, how they avoid uncomfortable truths, and how to extract genuine meaning from what respondents say versus what they mean. AI survey tools now design questions, distribute surveys, analyze responses, and generate insight reports end to end. And the entire workflow happens without a human researcher initiating any individual step. Qualtrics XM, SurveyMonkey Genius, and Typeform AI generate question sets, identify bias in survey design, and analyze open-ended responses using natural language processing automatically. AI text analysis tools like Relative Insight and Luminoso process thousands of open-ended survey responses in minutes. Work that previously required human coding teams operating for weeks before a single insight could be reported to a client. Academic and commercial survey research firms have reduced human analysis staff significantly as AI platforms commoditize the core technical workflow that once justified large research department headcounts. The sample design and statistical weighting processes, central to rigorous survey research, are now largely automated within enterprise research platforms, removing another layer of skilled human involvement. Fortune 500 companies are increasingly deploying AI-powered employee and customer listening platforms that deliver continuous insight without periodic human-designed research projects. You spent a career learning to ask the right questions in the right order to get honest answers from reluctant respondents. The machine asks all of them, processes every answer simultaneously, and does not need a budget approval cycle to start the project. The insight still matters. The manual apparatus that produced it does not. 24. Tax law is legitimately complex. It changes constantly. It is full of traps for the uninformed, and making a mistake on a return filed with the federal government carries real consequences. For 90% of taxpayers filing standard returns, AI has been doing this job since TurboTax launched in 1984. Modern AI has simply closed the remaining gap. Intuit TurboTax processes approximately 40 million returns annually using AI-driven guidance, the majority with zero human preparer involvement from start to final submission. The IRS Direct File program, expanded in 2024, now offers free direct filing to millions of Americans through an AI-assisted interface that eliminates the need for a human preparer entirely for eligible returns. HR Block's AI Tax Assist uses GPT-4 level models to answer complex tax questions in real time, effectively replacing the upsell to a human preparer for most customer inquiries. The BLS projects a 4% decline in tax preparer employment through 2032 as automation handles the volume that once justified large seasonal staffing. Block Liberty Tax and Jackson Hewitt have all reported declining demand for seasonal human preparers as AI-assisted self-filing has grown year over year. You memorized a 3,000-page tax code to help people fill out forms. The machine memorized it too. It charges nothing, does not require an appointment, and does not make you wait in a strip mall office next to a faded poster explaining the earned income credit. The expertise was real. The business model that depended on information scarcity was not. 25. Catching defects on a production line requires experienced human eyes. A veteran quality control inspector can spot a subtle surface flaw, a tolerance deviation, a color inconsistency that might fool any camera operating under imperfect conditions. Human eyes miss approximately 20 to 30% of defects at scale after 4 hours of continuous visual inspection. This is not a criticism of individual inspectors. It is a documented neurological limitation called vigilance decrement. The machine does not have a vigilance decrement problem. Landing AI, Cognex, and Keyence deploy industrial computer vision systems that inspect products at full production speeds with defect detection rates above 99% across continuous operation. BMW, Toyota, and Foxconn have all deployed AI quality inspection systems on primary production lines, reducing or eliminating human visual inspection roles in those facilities. AI visual inspection systems check for 50 or more defect categories simultaneously across color, geometry, surface texture, and assembly configuration, tasks that would previously require multiple specialized human inspectors operating in sequence. The global machine vision market for quality inspection was valued at $13 billion in 2023 and is growing at approximately 7% annually as manufacturing automation expands. You never blinked at the wrong moment. Except statistically, you did, approximately once every 8 minutes during extended inspection sessions, according to Attention Research. The machine never does. That gap between human reliability and machine reliability is the entire business case for the transition. The product does not care about the narrative. It only cares about the error rate. 26. Creditworthiness assessment is a judgment call. Experienced analysts read between the lines of financial data, weighing factors that rigid formulas miss. They see the context behind the numbers. Credit analysis is a formula. It always was. The human judgment was always operating within the boundaries of a model, filling gaps where data was unavailable. AI runs a substantially better formula, on more data, in less time, with documented performance advantages over traditional scoring approaches. FICO scores, which have been algorithmic since 1989, are already the backbone of virtually all U.S. consumer lending decisions. Human credit analyst judgment was always constrained by the model. The model is now the entire process. Zest AI, Upstart, and Blend offer AI credit underwriting that evaluates thousands of non-traditional data signals for more accurate risk prediction than FICO alone provides. Upstart's AI lending platform reduced default rates by 75% for equivalent approval rates compared to traditional credit scoring models in published performance studies. The BLS projects a 10% decline in credit analyst employment through 2032, one of the steeper negative projections across financial services occupations. Goldman Sachs and Citizens Financial have both publicly integrated AI credit decisioning into primary underwriting workflows as a strategic commitment rather than a test program. The judgment call was always a euphemism for the parts of the spreadsheet that experienced analysts could not fully explain. The intuitive adjustments made on incomplete information. AI does not need incomplete information. It processes what was always missing from the human model. 27. Hiring is deeply human. Reading a candidate's energy in a room, assessing cultural fit, making the judgment calls that separate a technically qualified candidate from someone who will genuinely thrive. Resume screening, interview scheduling, and first-round candidate filtering, which is the majority of what a recruiting coordinator actually does day to day, are optimization problems. AI solves optimization problems efficiently and without the unconscious preferences that human screeners bring to every stack of resumes. HireVue's AI video interview platform analyzes facial expressions, tone, word choice, and response patterns to score candidates. It is deployed by Unilever, Hilton, and Goldman Sachs for initial screening across high-volume hiring. Workday, Greenhouse, and ICMs have integrated AI resume parsing and candidate ranking systems that reduce time to screen by 70 to 90% compared to human review. LinkedIn's AI recruiting tools proactively identify, rank, and initiate outreach to passive candidates without recruiter involvement in the discovery phase. Amazon built an AI recruiting tool that was later discontinued after gender bias was detected in its training data, demonstrating that the technology is deployable at scale and that the remaining engineering challenge is bias correction, not capability. Pymetrics uses neuroscience-based AI assessments to predict job success and replace traditional first-round screening at companies including Accenture and JP Morgan. The AI reads 500 resumes before you finish your morning coffee. It does not care if the font is Calibri. It does not have a gut feeling about someone who went to the same school. In this particular case, the machine's indifference is actually the improvement. 28. Financial compliance requires deep regulatory expertise, constant vigilance across an evolving and increasingly complex set of rules, and the professional judgment to identify violations that bad actors are actively trying to conceal. Compliance monitoring is pattern surveillance at massive scale across millions of simultaneous transactions. AI does not merely do that. It does it in real time across every transaction with no sampling, no fatigue, and no missed patterns on Friday afternoon. NICE Actimize, Behavivox, and Symphony. iYazdi AI monitor millions of financial transactions per day for compliance violations, market manipulation signals, and regulatory red flags, flagging anomalies automatically for human review at the investigation stage rather than the detection stage. The SEC's Market Information Data Analytics System processes billions of data points daily to detect regulatory concerns. JP Morgan's compliance AI platform handles a monitoring volume that would require thousands of additional human analysts to replicate manually. RegTech is a $12 billion market, growing at 20% annually, built almost entirely on AI replacing the labor-intensive components of manual compliance functions. FINRA deployed AI to identify broker misconduct patterns in 2023, surfacing cases that had passed through human compliance review processes undetected. The regulations did not get simpler. Your organization now has a compliance department that never sleeps, never loses concentration, never misses a pattern buried in 40 million rows of transaction data, and flags it before the trading day closes. The human compliance officer still exists. They review what the machine flagged. The detection is no longer the job. 29. Content moderation requires human judgment about cultural context, satire, regional nuance, and the difference between harmful content and protected expression that an algorithm will perpetually misread. The scale of social media content makes human moderation mathematically impossible. There are not enough humans on Earth to review the volume of content posted to major platforms every 24 hours. AI handles the overwhelming majority of moderation already, and has for years. Meta reported in 2023 that its AI systems proactively detected and removed more than 99% of terrorist content, 96% of spam, and over 90% of hate speech before any human report was filed. YouTube's AI content moderation systems remove millions of videos per day at a volume no human team could physically review. The human content moderation workforce, historically concentrated in low-wage countries and handling the escalated cases AI flagged with uncertainty, has been progressively reduced as AI accuracy on common violation categories has improved. NVIDIA's content moderation AI models evaluate text, image, and video content simultaneously using multimodal AI, a capability that exceeds any individual human reviewer's capacity, regardless of experience. The psychological toll of human content moderation, documented rates of trauma and occupational PTSD among workers exposed to extreme content for extended periods, has created both ethical pressure and economic incentive to accelerate AI replacement in this specific role. The machine does the job without developing nightmares. In this particular case, unlike almost every other case on this list, the replacement is arguably humane. 30. Technical writing requires two rare things simultaneously: deep subject matter expertise in a complex technical domain, and the communication skill to translate that expertise into clear, structured documentation that non-experts can actually use. That combination is genuinely uncommon. AI can parse code, API documentation, and system specifications and produce complete, accurate technical documentation from them. The rare combination is now a single prompt, available to anyone. GitHub Copilot and similar AI coding tools auto-generate code comments, function documentation, and README files as part of the standard development workflow, before the developer has finished writing the function being documented. Mentlify, Swim, and Scribe AI generate technical documentation directly from software code and screen recordings without human writers involved in any production step. Microsoft, Atlassian, and Salesforce have integrated AI documentation generation into their developer tools, reducing the project scope available to external technical writers on platform documentation. Large language models can convert raw engineering specifications, API endpoint definitions, and system architecture diagrams into structured, accurate technical documentation in minutes, at a quality level that passes internal technical review in many organizations. A 2023 survey of software as a service companies found that 41% had reduced or eliminated standalone technical writer roles in favor of AI-assisted developer documentation workflows. You translated what engineers built into words that humans could understand. The machine speaks both languages natively. It was built on them. It does not require a translator between the people who make the thing and the people who need to use it. 31. Document review is legal work performed by licensed attorneys. It requires legal training, professional judgment, and carries the weight of professional liability. Document review is not lawyering. It is reading millions of pages and identifying which ones are relevant to a specific legal matter. That is reading comprehension at industrial scale. AI reads faster than any human team assembled, at lower error rates, across any volume of documents presented to it. E-discovery AI platforms including Relativity, Everlaw, and LogicCole reduce document review time by 60 to 90% compared to human attorney review teams on equivalent matters. A landmark study found that AI contract review outperformed experienced human lawyers on accuracy for NDA clause identification at 94% versus 85% for the human team. The document review sector historically employed hundreds of thousands of contract attorneys working on hourly billing arrangements. Major law firms have reduced contract attorney rosters significantly since 2018 as AI-assisted review has become standard practice in large litigation matters. Billable document review hours, once a profitable category for junior attorneys building experience, are being replaced by flat-fee AI-assisted services at a fraction of the per-document cost. The American Bar Association's 2023 Legal Technology Survey showed AI adoption in discovery and document review growing faster than any other category of legal technology currently available. You went to law school. You passed the bar. You reviewed documents. The machine read every document ever filed in every relevant case, every contract ever drafted, every deposition ever taken, while you were in law school. It did not need 3 years. 32. Pathology is irreplaceable. The trained pathologist's eye is the gold standard for cancer diagnosis and tissue analysis, the definitive human judgment that a machine cannot replicate in a domain where being wrong means a patient receives the wrong treatment. For routine slide analysis, which comprises the bulk of diagnostic pathology volume, AI has matched or exceeded pathologist accuracy in peer-reviewed studies published in leading medical journals. Page.ai received FDA Breakthrough Device designation for its prostate cancer AI detection system after outperforming pathologists in identifying clinically significant cancer in peer-reviewed evaluations. Google Health's pathology AI detected lymph node metastases with 99% accuracy measured by area under the curve, outperforming the pathologist average of 96% in a 2019 Nature Medicine study. PathAI and Procia are deploying AI pathology analysis platforms in academic medical centers across the US and Europe in active clinical use. Routine cytology analysis, including Pap smear and urinalysis review, is already largely automated through image analysis systems that replaced significant pathology technician labor. The global digital pathology AI market is projected to reach $5.5 billion by 2030, driven by documented accuracy advantages and a documented shortage of human pathologists in high-volume clinical environments. The slide did not lie before. The AI reads it without the performance degradation that affects any human expert reviewing their 847th case of the day. Volume is where the machine wins. Volume is what most of pathology actually is. 33. Financial planning is deeply personal. A trusted advisor who knows your family situation, your risk tolerance, your long-term goals, your complicated feelings about money. That relationship is genuinely irreplaceable for clients with complex, high-value financial situations. For the mass market, which means everyone with under $500,000 in investable assets, the relationship was always a sales pitch dressed as fiduciary advice. AI does the planning part better and does not sell you products alongside it. Betterment, Wealthfront, and Schwab Intelligent Portfolios manage over $50 billion in assets using AI-driven robo-advisory, with zero human advisors involved in routine portfolio management decisions. Vanguard's personal advisor services charges 30 basis points annually. Traditional advisors charge 100 basis points or more for almost identical core services at comparable asset levels. The BLS projects relatively flat growth for personal financial advisors overall, with industry analysts noting that growth is concentrated in the high net worth segment that requires genuine relationship management, not in the mass market. AI financial planning tools like Savology and Monarch Money produce comprehensive financial plans, retirement projections, debt paydown strategies, and insurance gap analysis for free or minimal cost to any user. Morgan Stanley's AI assistant, built on GPT-4, gives advisors instant access to the full depth of the firm's research library, concentrating value in the senior relationship manager and eliminating the support staff beneath them. The client with $50,000 in savings never needed a relationship. They needed a budget and an index fund. The machine built both. 34. Captions require accurate hearing, contextual understanding, and the skill to time text precisely to match the natural rhythm of human speech across different speakers, accents, and audio environments. AI transcription and captioning has achieved human parity accuracy on standard audio content and processes it 100 times faster than any human transcriptionist working in real time. YouTube's AI auto captioning covers over 10 billion videos across 10 or more languages with accuracy rates that match professional human captioners on clear audio, which is the condition that represents the overwhelming majority of commercial captioning volume. Rev.com and Otter.ai have both shifted from human-first to AI-first transcription models, with optional human review available for an additional fee, dramatically reducing the volume of work routed to human captioners. The ADA and WCAG accessibility compliance market, which drives most professional captioning demand commercially, is being served increasingly by automated platforms at a cost that makes human captioning economically difficult to justify for standard content. Zoom, Microsoft Teams, and Google Meet all include real-time AI captioning as a free built-in feature, eliminating the need for live human cart captioners in standard meeting environments. OpenAI's Whisper, an open-source speech-to-text model, provides near-human accuracy captioning at zero cost, available to any developer or content platform globally. You listened carefully to every word spoken and rendered it accurately in text form. The machine listened to all of them simultaneously in 11 languages, while simultaneously translating into 6 more. You were never going to win the speed round. The accuracy round is now also settled. 35. Securities brokerage requires licensed human professionals who manage client relationships, provide investment guidance, and execute trades on behalf of clients who need someone they trust, navigating market complexity on their behalf. Commission-free trading apps eliminated the retail human broker in 2019. Robinhood did not disrupt a profession. It made the core value proposition of retail brokerage, access to markets in exchange for a commission, free and instantaneous for everyone with a smartphone. U.S. retail broker-dealer registrations have declined from over 8,000 in 2000 to approximately 3,400 by 2023, reflecting both consolidation and the automation of execution functions that previously justified large retail brokerage workforces. AI-powered retail investing platforms now provide real-time trade execution, options analysis, tax loss harvesting, and portfolio rebalancing automatically for any account holder. FINRA Series 7 licensing requirements, once a meaningful barrier protecting the profession, are increasingly irrelevant for the automated execution of routine retail investment transactions. Interactive Brokers' AI analytical tools provide professional-grade market analysis to retail investors at no additional cost, eliminating the upsell to a human broker for market intelligence. You spent $45 to buy a stock because a licensed professional made a phone call to execute the order on your behalf. Then an app appeared that does it instantly for free. The phone call was never the value. The access was the value. access became universal. The profession built around controlling it did not survive universality. 36. Supply chain analysis requires industry expertise, supplier relationship knowledge, and the human ability to navigate the unpredictable disruptions that cascade through global logistics networks in ways that rigid models fail to anticipate. It requires processing enormous quantities of interconnected data and building predictive models from it under time pressure. That is AI's primary competitive advantage over human analysts, and it operates at a scale human teams cannot approach, regardless of headcount. Amazon Supply Chain AI predicts demand at an item-by-location by time level across 350 million products simultaneously, a granularity of analysis no human team could approach. Blue Yonder and Kinaxis offer AI supply chain optimization platforms deployed by Walmart, Coca-Cola, and Ford, reducing analyst headcount for routine analysis functions across those organizations. The COVID-19 pandemic supply chain crisis in 2020 and 2021 exposed the fragility of human-planned supply chains and simultaneously accelerated AI investment as companies sought systems that could respond dynamically to disruptions faster than human coordinators could convene a meeting to discuss them. Palantir's AI supply chain platform identifies sourcing risks and alternative suppliers automatically, replacing weeks of human analyst research with continuously updated real-time intelligence. Gartner predicts that by 2030, 80% of human supply chain analyst work will be augmented or replaced by AI-driven decision systems. You mapped the global supply chain on a spreadsheet. The machine mapped it in real time, with 400 contingency scenarios running simultaneously, and updated every single branch of that map while you were still drawing the first one. 37. Getting a mortgage or personal loan requires a professional who understands your full financial picture, who advocates for your approval within a system that can feel impenetrable to people unfamiliar with lending. Automated underwriting systems have dominated consumer lending decisions since the 1990s. The human loan officer was already operating within the boundaries of a machine decision for most of that period. AI has now eliminated the human in the loop who is representing themselves as the decision maker. Fannie Mae's desktop underwriter and Freddie Mac's loan prospector automated the majority of mortgage underwriting decisions years before AI became a consumer-facing technology. Rocket Mortgage processed mortgage applications in 8 minutes using automated underwriting, a process that previously required 30 to 60 days of human processing and coordination. Upstart's AI personal loan platform approves borrowers with 27% lower default rates than traditional human underwriting at comparable approval rates, a documented performance advantage that makes the business case for human underwriting difficult to sustain. The BLS projects a 9% decline in loan officer employment through 2032, one of the most significant projected declines across financial services occupations. Better.com laid off 900 employees via video call in 2021 while publicly pivoting to a digital-first mortgage model, a case study in what the transition from human to automated loan processing looks like at speed. Your job was collecting documents and entering them into an underwriting system that made the actual decision. The system now collects the documents. The middle step was you. It is no longer necessary. 38. Insurance claims require a trained human adjuster to assess damage fairly, investigate circumstances thoroughly, and apply the nuanced coverage judgment that distinguishes legitimate claims from contested ones. For auto and property damage claims, which represent the majority of volume, AI can assess photographic damage evidence, determine liability allocation, and issue payment authorization faster and more consistently than any human adjuster. Tractable AI uses computer vision to assess vehicle damage from photographs, producing repair estimates in seconds. It is deployed by Geico, Tokio Marine, and Admiral Insurance for routine auto claims processing. Lemonade paid a renter's insurance claim in 3 seconds using AI verification, the fastest claim settlement in insurance industry history at the time it occurred. State Farm and Allstate have both deployed AI claim systems that handle first notice of loss, damage assessment, and payment authorization with minimal human involvement for standard claims below defined thresholds. Mitchell International's AI platform processes hundreds of thousands of auto claims monthly using visual AI and predictive analytics to replace human adjuster judgment on routine damage assessment. The BLS projects a 4% decline in claims adjuster employment through 2032, with routine claims moving entirely to automated processing and human adjusters concentrating on complex, disputed, or high-value cases that require investigation beyond photographic evidence. You drove to the scene, took the photographs, measured the damage, and filled out the form. The AI looks at the photographs the claimant submitted, cross-references the policy terms, and authorizes payment. Nobody needed the drive. Nobody needed the form. 39. Social media management requires brand intuition, cultural awareness, community relationship building, and the kind of creative instincts that make content feel authentic rather than manufactured. The strategy might require a human. The execution, which is writing captions, scheduling posts, analyzing performance data, responding to routine comments, and generating content variations for A/B testing, is entirely automatable with tools that already exist and are widely deployed. Hootsuite, Buffer, and Sprout Social have all integrated AI caption generation, optimal posting time prediction, and performance analysis, replacing the execution layer of social media management with automated workflows. AI tools like Lately.ai analyze existing brand content and automatically generate platform-optimized social posts from it in bulk quantities without human copywriting involvement. Large language models are widely used in marketing agencies to generate hundreds of social media post variations in minutes, a task previously requiring significant human creative hours billed at professional rates. AI community management tools automatically respond to routine comments, direct messages, and brand mentions using trained voice guidelines, handling the majority of standard interactions without human review. Marketing agencies report that AI has reduced the human hours required for social media content execution by 50 to 70%, leading to direct team restructuring across the industry. The strategy still needs a human. The 47 scheduled posts per week that execute the strategy do not. One of those two things is how most people who held this job title actually spent the majority of their working hours. The machine took the majority. 40. Court reporting requires expert stenographers who can maintain pace with rapid, overlapping speech in high-stakes legal proceedings where accuracy is not optional. Certified reporters spend years mastering machine shorthand systems to achieve the 225 words per minute accuracy required for professional certification. Real-time AI transcription now matches certified court reporter accuracy on clear audio at speeds exceeding 300 words per minute, with simultaneous speaker identification and automatic formatting. The National Court Reporters Association has publicly acknowledged a severe shortage of human court reporters, a workforce crisis that is actively accelerating AI adoption in courtrooms and administrative proceedings that cannot wait for the human pipeline to fill. AI transcription platforms, including Verbit, Vitac, and Speechmatics, are already being used in depositions, hearings, and administrative proceedings across the U.S. and United Kingdom in active legal use. Several U.S. states have passed legislation explicitly permitting AI transcription in court proceedings, dismantling the professional licensing barrier that historically protected the field from direct competition. Verbit's AI platform was deployed at over 1,000 legal and educational institutions as of 2023, with accuracy rates matching or exceeding certified human reporters on standard proceedings with adequate audio quality. You trained for years, invested in specialized equipment, and built a rare skill. Then you spent that skill in a domain where the core competitive advantage was the ability to produce accurate text faster than anyone else in the room. The machine produces it faster than anyone else in the room, and it formats it simultaneously. You won the wrong race at the wrong time. 41. Actuarial science requires years of professional examination, sophisticated statistical modeling, and the kind of disciplined analytical judgment that protects insurance companies and pension funds from catastrophic miscalculation. It is one of the most rigorous professions in terms of credentialing requirements. The examinations test the ability to build probabilistic models and make complex calculations under uncertainty. AI builds better models on more data in less time, and it did not take 9 professional examinations to acquire that capability. Machine learning models have outperformed traditional actuarial models in predicting insurance losses and mortality rates in multiple peer-reviewed studies, comparing the two approaches on equivalent data sets. The Casualty Actuarial Society and the Society of Actuaries both released formal position papers in 2022 and 2023, acknowledging the disruptive impact of AI on traditional actuarial roles within the profession. InsurTech companies deploy neural networks and gradient-boosted tree models that simultaneously process thousands of risk variables, a dimensionality of analysis that exceeds what any human-constructed actuarial table can incorporate. Junior and mid-level actuarial work, specifically building spreadsheet models, running scenario analyses, and generating standard reports, maps directly onto tasks that AI automates with currently available technology. The BLS projects modest actuarial employment growth through 2032, but industry analysts consistently note that growth is concentrated in AI oversight and model governance roles rather than in traditional calculation and modeling work. You passed 9 examinations to build models that predict the future. The machine builds more accurate models. It did not take 9 examinations to do it. It did not take any. 42. Picking and sorting physical objects in a warehouse environment requires the kind of dexterous, adaptive human judgment that machines have struggled to replicate. Robots are clumsy with irregular objects, bad at working in dynamic human environments, and expensive to deploy at the scale required for high-volume fulfillment operations. Amazon purchased Kiva Systems for $775 million in 2012 specifically to solve this problem. The question was never whether machines could do it. It was when the technology would be economical at scale. Amazon Robotics deploys over 750,000 mobile robots in fulfillment centers globally, handling the majority of product movement in those facilities. Ocado, the UK grocery delivery platform, operates fully automated fulfillment centers where AI robotics handle 95% or more of product picking and packing without human involvement in those steps. Symbotic and Berkshire Grey offer AI robotic picking systems deployed in Walmart, Target, and FedEx fulfillment operations. The dexterous manipulation problem, which was AI's documented weak point for decades, has improved dramatically through reinforcement learning. Humanoid robots from Figure AI and Aptronik are already operational in factory and warehouse environments. The BLS projects no significant growth in warehouse order filler employment through 2032, as automation investment absorbs the volume growth that would previously have required additional human workers. The job required 2 things: finding the right item and moving it to the right location. The robot finds faster, carries more, and works continuously without shift changes. You were the most expensive variable in a logistics equation that just got permanently solved. 43. Media buying requires human relationship management, negotiation skill, and the industry expertise to navigate a fragmented media landscape and place advertising effectively for clients who cannot afford to waste budget. Programmatic advertising, which is AI-driven automated media buying, already handles over 91% of all digital display advertising spending in the United States. AI is not coming for media buying. It already took the majority of it and has been operating at that share for years. Google's DV360, The Trade Desk, and Amazon DSP execute ad placements across millions of impressions in real time, optimizing simultaneously for audience targeting, contextual relevance, price, and predicted conversion probability. Work that previously required large human media buying teams making individual placement decisions. Real-time bidding technology executes individual ad placement decisions in under 100 milliseconds, a speed requirement that physically eliminates human decision-making from the standard process. WPP, Publicis, and IPG, the three largest advertising holding companies globally, have all significantly reduced media buying headcount as programmatic adoption eliminated manual placement roles across digital channels. Traditional media buying skills, negotiating television upfront packages, print placements, and radio schedules remain human-dominated, but represent a shrinking and increasingly marginal share of total advertising expenditure each year. You built a career on knowing which channels your target demographic paid attention to. The machine watches what your target demographic actually pays attention to, in real time, across 400 platforms simultaneously, and bids accordingly. The knowing was always the job. The machine knows more. 44. Planning radiation treatment for cancer patients is among the most precise and consequential tasks in medicine. It requires expert human judgment to balance maximizing the dose delivered to a tumor while protecting every surrounding healthy structure. Getting it wrong has irreversible consequences. Treatment planning is a geometric optimization problem. The goal has always been to find the configuration that delivers the right dose to the right location while minimizing damage to everything adjacent. AI is exceptionally capable at geometric optimization. It runs more configurations faster than any human team can evaluate. Varian Medical Systems, Ethos, AI platform generates adaptive radiotherapy treatment plans in minutes, plans that previously required human dosimetrists 3 to 5 hours to produce manually for a single patient case. A 2020 study published in The Lancet Oncology found that AI-generated radiation treatment plans were clinically acceptable without modification in 72% of cases reviewed by expert human planners. RayStation's AI auto-planning tool is deployed in over 800 cancer treatment centers globally, reducing dosimetrist involvement in routine planning to a review and approval function rather than a production function. Deep learning contouring tools from Murata Medical and Envision AI automatically delineate tumor boundaries and adjacent organ structures on CT and MRI scans, which is the most time-consuming manual component of the treatment planning workflow. The clinical physics and dosimetry workforce is facing a documented restructuring as AI planning tools improve. The goal was always a perfect plan. The machine runs 10,000 plan variations and selects the optimal one in the time it took you to open the planning software. Now, you know which jobs are already gone. The question is, what you're doing about it. Drop your job title in the comments and tell us how close this hit. If you want to see more, click the video on screen now